I do believe absolutely in reparations. I think that it is a prerequisite to the overall liberation of the country of America. Because if we believe in karma on an individual level, then we have to also apply to karma on a level of the collective. So oftentimes people think that they are getting away with things, getting away with murder, getting away with genocide, getting away with theft, but they end up doing themselves in. I have also made the point about the visionaries versus the neophytes or the newcomers, and how it's not wise of the people who have been here on earth longer to attempt to replicate the behavior of the newcomers. Why is it unwise? Well, you know, people have traded in spiritual understanding for materialistic values, and we understand that spirituality trumps everything. It trumps everything. So if we understand that there are consequences, karmic and spiritual consequences, that we will not behave in a manner that will be to our detriment spiritually or karmically. Whereas the newcomers, people who have less knowledge about consequences and the ramifications of their actions, will be more inclined to behave in a manner. Thank you. More inclined to behave in a manner that is going to do them in, a manner of self-sabotage, because they don't know, they don't have an understanding of what the spiritual ramifications of their actions will be. And they think that they're operating in a fashion of wisdom. Well, we have these things, and you know, we got these things from violating people, committing genocide, you know, mass incarceration, contemporary enslavement, and all these things, but they don't have the depth of knowledge to understand that there are tremendous consequences, and not just in the long term, but short-term consequences. And I've been consistent in reminding people about, you know, the idea of, well, if your children are addicts and you're an addict and you can't escape sorrow, you can't escape misery, bitterness, and hatred, do not look at that as a spiritual consequence of your behavior. So, you know, we take it in stride, but I'll say for me, you know, you have to have, and a lot of people may misconstrue your wisdom as arrogance, but when I talk about certain people that I know, right, who have are self-made, you know what I'm saying, and this is not something that's exclusive to a specific race or exclusive to a specific gender or things like that. You have a lot of immigrants that come to America. They come with nothing, and they're able to build a legacy for themselves. They're able to build for their families. So people who are self-made also oftentimes along their journey of obtaining the knowledge required, the discipline required, all of the things required for them to get the success, people who are self-made, they develop a high level of self-confidence, and that's what comes with being self-made. It's the reliance on yourself to say, wow, I had to tap into my own intellect. I had to develop my own willpower. I had to develop self-discipline. I had to do all these things to carve my own way. And there's nobody who's entirely self-made, but even just the knowledge of having enough intelligence to know who to select as your mentor, right? Because most people that you meet, they'll say, okay, yeah, I did have a mentor. I did have somebody to guide me. They may have not just given me the career or the, immediate success, but they gave me enough wisdom and knowledge to be able to guide me on how to obtain it myself. But it took a certain level of intelligence to know who to select, right? Who was going to guide you to victory. And in that selection process, you also had to assess that individual to say that this person is going to guide me to victory, and this person is not somebody who is seeking to necessarily control me or seeking to put me in a situation that's not going to be for my liberation. With that self-confidence is coupled with the idea, and don't get me wrong, I'm not being unrealistic in the sense of, you work hard for something, you're going to protect what you worked hard for. Nobody's out here trying to lose what they've obtained. But there is a certain sense of self-confidence of, if I can do it once, damn it, I can do it again, right? I think that there is a crippling fear of people who were not self-starters or did not carve their own way for their own success. I have no idea how, I would have no idea how to replicate this again, you know what I'm saying? But people who really did it will be like, yeah, I can do it again. So I say this to say that part of the knowledge that you obtain is not just, life is a learning experience. You don't just learn from the bad or the good, you learn from the bad. If you're observing people who are so desperate to control you, they watch you, they want to talk about what you wear, how you wear your hair, they place bets on you, it's that desperate to control you. This is all up here. This is contemporary enslavement. Why are people so fixated on enslaving other human beings? What is the fascination? What is the fixation with your enslavement, with wanting to modify you, alter you from your natural or organic state? We talk about social engineering. I have somebody that, was a RA, where I went to school, who is a transgender and an intellectual. And that was, he was born a woman. He is now a man. He now lives his life as a man. But that was his will. That was his own free will to decide to live his life in the form and fashion that he felt he wanted to live his life. Look, the way that I see it, God gave us free will. As a believer, God gave us free will. So if one chooses to exercise their free will to live their life in the form and fashion that they choose to live it in, that is operating their own free will. When we get into the conversation of nature versus nurture, it's a deep conversation, nature versus nurture, because we have to look at things as, well, what degree of this is nature and what degree of this is nurture? When people make the argument, certain arguments that somebody is born a certain way, or, you have to wonder, to what degree is this person born this way? And what social factors contributed to their decision making? But what I'll say is this. We have to be very wise to closely observe those who seek to control us And then we also have to use a high level of discernment when examining to what degree are things our free will and to what degree are things imposed on us. And when you cultivate a level of discernment and you're able to apply a high level of scrutiny, you will begin to realize that many things that we believe are just our free will are actually things that have been socially constructed for us, selected for us. Right now, I try my best not to talk about things on such a personal level because people love to call me cuckoo, out of my mind. And I am, in a certain sense, because to create my art, I do it from my heart, so I have to get out of my headspace. But what I'll say is, when I was able to really look into, in depth, how desperate these people are to control us. I mean, down to the way that you wear your hair. That if you win, right, in order for them to allow you to win, they are basically saying that we now have dominion over how you present yourself to the world. And if we are pushing a certain agenda for whatever reason, understand that it will no longer be your free will, it will be our will on you. And how we choose to use you will be how we choose to use you. And having the right to observe where these people are so fixated on controlling you down to the penny. They want you to be so much at their will and at their mercy. They want you to have nothing and be in such a desperate situation. And just observe. Observe how riddled with hatred these people are. Observe how these people don't have clean hearts or don't have a disposition. Like, one thing I love when I get around the believers is shout out to Riza Islam, shout out to Nuri Muhammad, even the minister. Shout out to T.C. Muhammad. One thing I love when I get around the believers is like there's this disposition of kind of like carefreeness. And as much as Islam has been marketed as like being very militant, my experience with specifically with Muslim men, and although to be balanced, yes, Muslim men can be a bit controlling. Shout out to my dad, Nuruddin Faiz, it's true. But all the Muslim men that I've ever been around have been jokesters, happy-go-lucky, a spirit of joyfulness, not heavy-hearted, light-hearted, genuinely, sincerely light-hearted, laugh easily, don't take things too seriously. A lot of them, well, will take things seriously, but understand what to take seriously and what to not. And a lot, especially the Muslim men in the nation is all about cleaning people up. So there is a sense of acceptance that I've found with a lot of Muslim men, where they say, okay, well, knowing where they were and how Islam impacted them and transformed them, you know, overall, I would say, maybe a little bit more biased when it comes to men than women. But anyways, one thing that you'll observe about truly spiritual people, righteously spiritual people, is the disposition, is the happy-go-lucky disposition. Whereas the forces that we're up against, you will never ever witness such like, I can't even really describe it. It's so bizarre to me how, I don't know how to even describe it. It's like their disposition is just so like uncarefree. Like, it's just so, like, riddled with just, it's weird. Like, they don't laugh. They don't, if they laugh, they're laughing at something wicked. Like, they like to, like, their laugh comes from, like, humiliating people and, like, putting people, like, screwing people over and putting people in, like, really bad situations. That's how they laugh. That's how they get out. But, like, overall, you know, like, the kindness that human beings feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, generally, how we feel. Like, when we see a baby, you know, we see a newborn baby, or, like, we see, like, the beauty of the world, you know, they just don't feel that way. So you have to ask yourself, are these people? Are these the people that I want to control me? Are these the people that I want to make decisions for me? Are these the people that I want? And the answer really should be no, and at no cost. I don't care if they, you know, want to make me a billionaire. A billionaire to not operate my own free will, my own personal free will. If I say that I love, which I do, men, if I say that I seek to have a family and I love children and I love to have a, you know, quote unquote traditional life, and I seek motherhood and being a wife and all these things, this is the will that I have for myself. My desire to have a certain will for myself does not mean that other people cannot exercise the will that they have for themselves. And the reason why I say this, and I know that some people would argue, oh, I am my sister's keeper, I am my brother's keeper, but at the same time, I have to say, you know, God gave us free will. So if somebody says that I want to present myself to the world in a fashion that I was not created, but by their mindset, they believe that they were born this way, whatever it is, that is their free will. That is their free will. But when they begin to try to impose their free will on you, that is now a violation, a tremendous, tremendous violation. We want to have this person present themselves. We don't want them to look a certain way. We want them to wear their hair a certain way. We want them to, whoa, time out. Time out. That's not my desire for my life. After being able to gaze into the inner workings, you have, as far as being able to take dominion over your life and control your life, you have the ability to say, I prioritize certain things and certain things I don't prioritize. So if you prioritize power to such a degree that you're willing to do anything to obtain it, it's kind of really that simple. You prioritize power, you're willing to do anything to obtain it, you do anything to obtain it. If power is not something that is that important to you, let's say family is, let's say love is, you know what I'm saying? Everything is going to come with a sacrifice. But with the same wisdom that you say, hey, if I can do it once, I can do it twice, you have to know that you are the it. You are what's popping. You are the conversation. You are the light that shines in the room. You are the intellectual. So you have to begin, and this is how they misconstrue your confidence and your self-awareness. Your self-knowledge is arrogance. But when you really, I don't think it's arrogance if it's self-actualization. I believe that arrogance is a heightened perception of self. But if you really are the star, and you know that you really are the star, that's self-awareness. That's not arrogance. If you know that you are the thought leader, and you really are the thought leader, that's self-awareness, that's not arrogance. And those that seek to control you who are unrighteous, they want you to not recognize your value. That's like the name of the game. So they'll do anything. They'll tamper with your money. They'll sabotage your opportunities, your resources. They'll get you fired from jobs. They'll monitor every place that you go, every dime that you spend out of desperation to control you. And the control has to do with a lot of what's up here, what's in your mind, and you not identifying your value. Because the minute that you identify your value, you can say, I don't care. You're not going to tell me how I wear my hair like I'm a slave. You know how long slavery went for? 420 years. And then after slavery was redlining, they burned down Wall Street and Black Wall Street, and that wasn't the only one. But beyond even race, because a lot of people say, you know what? Yeah, certain people have been selected, more so than others, to be have-nots. But they want to control us all. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted that your quest for freedom over your life is only something that is applied to you based off the skin that you're in. They want to control us all. They just have certain people that they really, 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 really want to control for various reasons. So, back to my point of, if I can do it once, I can do it again. If you were able, without their assistance, to be able to tap into your power, your voice, to tap into your calling, it doesn't matter. Their interference with their life is really just them trying to seek control over you, like the bottom feeder, leeches, parasites that they are. None of that matters. Because wherever you go, you're taking that mind. Wherever you go, for me, as a musician, I'm taking my dance. Wherever I go, I'm taking my culinary skills. I'm taking this voice of mine. I'm taking the lyrics that I write wherever I go. So, wherever I go, I'm bringing me. And for me, that's not some daunting task. That's a beautiful thing. What have they served in my life? They have offered me absolutely nothing but an observation and the wisdom of what not to do and who not to be around. Desperately trying to cling on to you. Desperately, why? Well, if you're so hell-bent, no pun intended, on serving the entities that you serve, shouldn't you be out here enjoying your life, your devil-worshipping life? You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't you be out here enjoying all the trinkets that the entities that you serve gave you? Enjoying that life? Not to say that I would ever consider joining their team, but what incentive would I have? When I observe, like, think about it. What incentive do you have when you observe, if you were to observe, that all the people around you who are trying to condescend you, ridicule you, put you down based off of you just living your life? What is the takeaway when you say, well, why aren't you busy living yours? Why are you more interested in what I eat than what you eat? Why are you more interested in how I spend my time than how you spend your time? Why are you more interested in my happiness than how you feel about yourself? And how do you feel like you can put me down or mess my mood up? How do you feel like you have that power over me when you don't even have the power to make yourself happy? How do you feel that you can affect my love life when you don't even have the power to attract love within your own life? How do you feel like you can take away my joy when you haven't manifested joy within your own life? I feel like these are fair questions to ask. You feel me? What's the fascination? What's the fixation? Setting traps for people. That's what that Zara Ra said. That's what they do for animals. You set traps for animals. They treat us like animals. Trying to entrap you like an animal. Trying to use you like a lab rat, you know. Watch them and here they go and trap them. And what is this? This is a psychosis. And the same psychosis that they are riddled with is really what they're trying to give you. They're trying to make you psychotic like them. So you just weigh it. You weigh your options. You hone in on what it is that you prioritize. And what it is that you prioritize will manifest in your life, no doubt. What it is that you really, really want, what it is that you really, really desire, if you're making steps and strides towards it, it will manifest in your life. You will obtain those things. But you have to fine tune and ask yourself, what is it that you desire? If you say it's wealth, if you say it's materialism, and you don't say that that comes with any boundaries, then if you end up in a situation where you become a high-paid slave, well, that's what you desire. If it is freedom, what are you doing to be free? When Lupe says freedom isn't free, I thought about that. I said, I think I might have heard that before. Freedom isn't free. What does that mean? What does that mean? Do you pay a price to be free? Perhaps. Perhaps you do pay a price to be free. Perhaps freedom and the price and the sacrifice for freedom is maybe isolation, maybe solitude. I'm saying maybe, I don't know. Maybe the price for freedom is walking alone, not buying into the indoctrination. Because freedom first comes with the freedom of the mind, freedom of mentality. How do you free your mind? Well, you have to get away from groupthink. So what is the price for that? What is the price that you pay for a free mind? Is it name calling? Are people going to now call you crazy? What is the price that gets paid for freedom? What is it that you prioritize? Do you prioritize love? Is it truly love that you prioritize? Because if it's love that you prioritize, you will get love. You will get loved up on. You will find love. And I say you may not have to choose. You may be able to have it all. But if it's love that you really want, are you willing to sacrifice for love? What are you willing to do for love? You know what I'm saying? So, you have to figure yourself out to know what it is that you prioritize and what you value. Some people, they gotta look the part. They're willing to do anything to have, you know. Some people, it's love. It's the nurturing of their hearts. It's the soul, it's the spirit that keeps them going. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is figuring yourself out will allow you to align yourself with the people, the places, and the things that will allow you to obtain what it is that you value and what it is that you prioritize. So I'll say confidently, if I've evaluated you and the way that you live your life, I don't care what you have. If you are riddled with hatred, and the only time that you're laughing is when you are doing something wicked and evil or humiliating somebody, that is not a life that I choose to live. That is not who I am. That is not the life that I desire. So there's nothing about you and what you've obtained that I seek to replicate, because I would never want to be in your circumstance, no matter what you've obtained materially. There's no amount of money in the world that would ever make me want to be in your condition or in your shoes. And this is not an attempt for me to really condescend anybody, because again, you obtain what it is that you prioritize. You've obtained what it was that you prioritized. But I'd have to evaluate your level of satisfaction or lack thereof if you're so fixated on me or anyone else when you obtained everything that you prioritize. you should be satisfied, right? You should be content. The things that you wanted, what you prioritized, what you value, you got. So that should serve a level of gratification and contentment. But if there is a feeling of lack, and you are now fixated and obsessed on what someone else is doing, where they're going, and how they wear their hair, and placing bets if they have real hair or fake hair. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's a slap in the face to God, because we have our minds that we really should be using to create a better world. But when you prioritize on, you focus on like very stupid, small-minded things, you become a very small-minded person because of what you focus on. You could use your mind to focus on anything, but you focus on hair, aesthetics, how someone looks, this is what you use your mind for. Hey, that's you. It's your free will. But you have to understand, it's not arrogance when I say that I'm not interested in affiliating with people who use their minds for very small things. I don't understand why there is such an issue with me simply saying that this is not the company that I choose to keep with my free will. Then people, well, so-and-so thinks that they're better. I don't know. I mean, when you evaluate certain things, well, isn't your life a manifestation of what you think is better? What you prioritize, you think is better, right? You use your time in a certain way because you value your time in a certain sense, right? You choose the company that you choose because you value that, you prioritize it. You had an option of your vocation. You said, I could be an executive, or I could be, I don't know, a garbage person or whatever. You said, I would rather be an executive because you felt like that was a better career option for you. Are you arrogant for not choosing to be a garbage man? Is that arrogance? So isn't everything that you have a sum of what you prioritize? And isn't what you prioritize what you delegate as superior in comparison to other selections or other choices, other belief systems, other ways of life? So then, what is arrogance? What does that mean? To me, arrogance, the way that I see it and the way that I define it, is an individual who believes that they could control another person. This is not something that I've really ever sought to do. People who believe that they can use people for their own selfish purposes, to me, that's egomania. That's true arrogance. To say that I own you, to say that I have God-like power over you, that now I can alter your fate. That's true arrogance, not somebody who is self-aware. That's not arrogance, not somebody who's using their free will to select values, prioritizing things that they, how you doing? What's up? That's not arrogance to me. In order to keep this whole thing going, you gotta have the haves, you gotta have the have-nots. I don't believe that the people who have upheld this power structure are, I'll say this, for me, I don't look to them as leaders. I look to them as go-alongs to get-alongs. You're not challenging social norms, you're not challenging the hierarchy, you're not challenging the social structure, you're just going along with it. So if the elites say, hey, we want this person to be under our control and we want to use this person as one of our prostitutes, and you say, okay, I'll help you guys. Well, first we got to get in her mind. Let's make sure that she spends all of her money. Let's make sure that she has no options. Because think about it. What does a pimp do? A pimp has to get inside the hoe's mind. You're nobody. You're nothing. You're going nowhere. You don't have anything. You do. So a pimp the hoe has to feel optionless. And I am respecting my father's art of diplomacy and peacemaking by not calling certain people out. Certain people definitely need to get called out, because I just, I can deal with a wolf, but a wolf in sheep's clothing is something that I just feel like has to get exposed. You're not for us when you are trying to set us up to coerce our poverty, to uphold this elite power structure so you can use us, pimp us, prostitute us and things like that. You are not for us. You are a devil in disguise, and you are a wolf in sheep's clothing. But I'm not using any names at this time. So, if you can do it once, you can do it again. Hone in on what it is that you bring to the table. Hone in on what it is that you're offering. Hone in on the skills that you've cultivated, and understand that once you really recognize your worth, once you really recognize your value, you are it. You are the commodity. You are what's popping. You are the conversation. You are the talking point. You are the thought leader. You are the artist. You are the creative. You are all these things. This is the reason why they try to leech off of you. So what does that mean? You shouldn't have low self-esteem about that. When you actually know what's going on around you, that's awareness. Be self-aware. Obtain self-knowledge. Anyways, y'all, much love. Peace.